In this first module, what I'd like to do is get you comfortable working inside of Photoshop to get you familiar with the working environment. To start off, what I'm going to do is launch the program. And you'll notice I just so happen to have a shortcut here on the desktop. So all I'm going to do is double click on this icon to launch the program. Now, when Photoshop loads, you'll be presented with this Start Workspace. Now, the Start Workspace has a couple different categories. First, we're looking at the Work category, and this will list different files that you can work with inside the program. But there's also a Learn category, and if you click on it, tiles will load, giving you access to different types of tutorials that you can follow on adobe.com to help you learn Photoshop. But let's come back to the Work section, and here inside the Work section, you can find different types of files that you can work with inside of Photoshop. Now, the Work section is categorized over here on the left-hand side by Recent Files, Creative Cloud Files, and Lightroom Photos. Right now, I'm in the Recent section, and I can see thumbnail previews of documents that I've recently worked with inside of Photoshop. Now, if you have a lot of different files that you've worked with, you may prefer to view this in the List view, and you can do that by clicking this little icon right here. This will display all the files in a list view, making it easier to look at more files at one time. Now, both in the list view and the thumbnail view, you have a couple different sorting options. Over here on the right-hand side, you can sort by last open, the name, the size, and the kind of file. You can also filter based upon keywords by typing in those words here. I'll return back to the thumbnail view. I also want to point out that you can also access CC files. These would be files that you've synchronized to Creative Cloud. And also, if you work with Lightroom and you sync those photos to Creative Cloud, those images will also be available here for you to work with inside of Photoshop as well. Now, down towards the bottom, you can create a new document, or you can open a document. If you click Open, you'll be able to browse your system file for a particular document. You also have the ability to search Adobe stock. If you come down here towards the bottom, you can type in a keyword, you can click Go, and that will open a web browser bringing you to Adobe stock, finding images that match that keyword. Now, in order for us to get comfortable working with the Photoshop interface, we need to have a document open. And what we're going to do in the next clip is create a new document. But before we move on, I just want to point out, anytime you're working inside of Photoshop and you close out of all your documents or you don't have a document open, you'll be immediately returned to this Start Workspace. Now, it's a behavior that I prefer, but maybe you don't prefer it. And if that's the case, you can control that behavior by coming up to the Preferences dialog box. Now, on a Macintosh, you'll come up to the Photoshop CC menu. If you're working on the Windows side, you'll go to the Edit menu. And from these menus, you'll choose Preferences, and from there you can choose General. Now, if you like keyboard shortcuts, the keyboard shortcut here on a Mac is Command-K. It would be Control-K on the Windows side. This will, in fact, open up the Preferences dialog box, and you'll notice down in the Options section, there's a checkbox to show the Start Workspace when no documents are open. Like I said, if you prefer that not to be the case, you can deselect it. For this course, I'm going to leave it selected. I'll come over and click Cancel to exit out of this dialog box. Now, like I said earlier, what we're going to do in the next clip is take a look at how we can create new documents.